I was born in Pennsylvania, and we moved to Texas when I was just a few months old, and we lived there for my first 6 years. And when my dad finished seminary, he looked for a job and found a job overseas, and so we moved to Vienna, Austria when I was 6 years old, and we lived there for the next 5 years. I went to the public school there in Vienna for the first 3 years, and then a private Christian school my last 2 years. We moved back to the States when I was going into the 6th grade, and so I was in the U.S. for junior high, high school, and college. I did an internship in college overseas in Austria. I wanted to go back. And after college, during my time as a missionary kid in Austria, I decided I wanted to be a missionary when I grew up. So after college, I moved to China, and I lived there for 2 years. I wasn't a missionary because you're not allowed to be a missionary in China, so I taught English. And then I lived in Germany for a year after that. After China, working at a boarding school for missionary kids, third culture kids. And then I came back to the States for more school. I only lived overseas for 5 years as a kid, so sometimes I actually kind of hesitate to refer to myself as a third culture kid. In fact, a lot of people don't know, and I just don't tell them, because I think a few people in the past have sort of invalidated that it was only 5 years, or because it was in Europe, so wow, rough life you had growing up in Europe. But the ages of 6 to 11 are super formative and for a kid, and that was my whole elementary school. I started elementary school in a school where they only spoke German and no English, and I was just thrown in and I spoke no German, and so it was a big deal. It was pretty huge and hard. The first month was terribly hard, but I was fluent within 6 months, and definitely could pass for an Austrian within a year, and it forever changed my life and who I am today. So one of the things I feel like you learn when you live overseas as a kid is picking up on cultural cues and learning just by keeping your mouth shut and your eyes open, and seeing what others are doing around you. And it really helps you. In college, I did an internship where I volunteered with a Bosnian refugee family, and they had us over to their house, and they kept serving us this Turkish coffee, and it was crazy strong in these tiny little cups, and we would finish it and they would give us more. And this happened a couple times when we went there, and we left, and we were literally we left sick because the coffee was so strong, and we couldn't understand why they gave us so much, because it was way more than anybody should drink. And I finally remembered, like, okay, watch what everybody else is doing, because I learned that growing up. So I watched, and nobody else finished their cup of coffee. And so the next time I sort of nudged my friend and said it under my breath, and so we didn't quite finish our cup. Because in America, you grow up that, clean your plate, finish your drink. It's rude otherwise. But apparently in Bosnian culture, you need to leave a little bit in your cup. And we did that. They did not give us any more. And things got a lot better from there on out, not leaving with 4 Turkish coffees in our system. I think one of the challenges of being a TCK is that you do see the world differently, and you feel different, and it's not something that, this is going to sound trite, but it's not something that people can see on the outside. I look American, I fit in fine here, but I don't always feel that way, and so I feel like there's this huge part of me that is a huge part of who I am, but it's not reflected in how I look, and so people maybe don't understand and appreciate that. And I don't always feel comfortable here. I don't always feel like I belong, and I can fake it really well, and I think I cover it most of the time, but there is this part of me that will never be complete while I'm here in the States, and that's hard. And if I can't share that with people around me, I feel like I'm not being real to who I really truly am in my being. And so I feel like in a lot of my relationships and friendships, I just don't go there, and so I feel like maybe I'm not being completely real with people. Also, sometimes when things happen and people can be quick to judge other cultures, and I find myself kind of hypersensitive in some ways to protect other cultures, because I know what it's like to be a foreigner, and I know what it's like to be different and to not know what's going on. And I live in a super multi-ethnic neighborhood town, and I was talking to someone recently, and they were saying, they described some people group who live in our neighborhood who never look, and they just walk out in the street, and they made some derisive comment, and I just thought, that's who, it's different where they're from, and it's different where they live, and it's hard. I want to find the balance of standing up for people, but I also want people to just accept me. So it's always going to be a tension. So I work for World Relief now, which is amazing, and it has been a really great opportunity, and it's fun because it's taken me to places in the world that I've never been before. And most recently I was in several countries in Africa, and really loved that, and just learning about a whole new culture was amazing and fun. And I think growing up overseas just gave me a love for culture and other cultures. And if you could see my whole house, you would see that I have a strong belief, and I don't have art that I just bought at Pottery Barn. I have art that I picked up in my travels around the world, because I want it to represent my life and the things I care about. And yeah, it's working with World Relief is amazing, because I get to not only travel to different countries, but I get to represent different countries and talk about them to people here, and just really help people here have a vision for serving the most vulnerable all around the world. And it's a huge privilege, and I'm really thankful. My name is Grace Mann, and I'm 3rd.